we're doing today Daf Mem Gimel Amud Beis. We're starting on the last line of Daf Mem Gimel Amud Aleph. Right. So the question was, if it's higher than 10 tefachim, if above 10 tefachim, does the din of tchum apply? So if somebody has an ability to move above the 10 tefachim with a shem, by with the Abish's names or whatever, is able to sort of fly, or he has maybe a thin type of wall situation, which is less than 4 tefachim. So, and it's high, and it's less than 4 tefachim wide and higher than 10 tefachim. Does the din of tchumen apply over there? So, Toshma, there's going to be a proof. Hareini, if somebody said Hareini Nazir, I should become a Nazir. B'yayim shemen David bo. When Mashiach comes, the day that Mashiach comes, I should be a Nazir. That's the neder he made. So now, so he doesn't know any given day, he doesn't know. Maybe he has Mashiach come, or maybe he's not come. So now, maybe Mashiach has come now. Maybe he's come an hour ago. So maybe Mashiach is, or maybe he's going to come. Yeah, so we don't know. Yeah. It's maybe coming soon today. So we don't. So yeah. So he made a neder that he'll be a nazir the day Mashiach comes. So mutter lishtas yain b'Shabbos yom tov. So he's able to drink wine on Shabbos yom tov because those days Mashiach will not come. Mashiach will not come on Shabbos yom. Also, all the rest of the week he's not permitted, because any given day, maybe he's not aware, but maybe Mashiach has come or is going to come today. Therefore, he is a nazir at this day. So the Gemara says, how do we get to understand that Mashiach doesn't come on Shabbos Yom Tov? For what's the reasoning behind that we say Mashiach doesn't come on Shabbos Yom Tov? It must be because Mashiach is not able to come from, because he's going to come from outside the Tchum. He's going to come from outside the Tchum. So therefore, he's going to come from outside the Tchum. So therefore, that is the reasoning, because he's going to come from outside the Tchum, and so he's going to come from outside the Tchum, and so therefore he can't come on Shabbos Yom Tov because Tchumen apply even higher than 10 tefachim. I'm saying that in like saying the Gemara. Let's say the same thing in a slightly different way. That the Gemara understands, it takes it as a given. It takes as a given that Mashiach is going to come from somewhere which is higher than 10 tefachim, and he's going to be coming from that place. When he arrives, he's going to be coming from that place, of which is higher than 10 tefachim, and it's going to come quite a distance. So therefore, there's a problem of tchumen. So since that's the assumption of the Gemara, that is going to come from a far place and it's higher from 10 tefachim, so therefore the only reasoning that we can at this moment think about why Mashiach won't come on Shabbos, because he's going to come from far, so it's crossing the Tchum. You can't go outside the Tchum, but he's going to come from a high place. He's come from a high place, no. So it come from a high place. So it must be that there is Tchumen even on the Mayim Asar Tvach. Because if there's no Tchum on the Mayim Asar Tvach, so he can come on Shabbos. Let him come on Shabbos. Wherever he comes from, he can come on Shabbos. The Mayim Asar Tvachim. There is no Tchum, so he can come on Shabbos. So it must be that there is Tchum in the Mayim Asar Tvach. That's the logic of the Gemara. I can't remember if I said it. If he said yes Tchumen, and therefore we understand he's unable to come on Shabbos Yom Tov because he's coming from a far place, and right, and therefore he's not able to come on Shabbos Yom Tov. So if there's no Issa Tchumen, So what's that to prevent Mashiach coming on Shabbos Yontif? Maybe he's going to come on Shabbos as well, because we seem to be sure that Shabbos is not going to be the day is coming. The kids of the Gemara's answer is going to be that we don't really know. Eliyahu Novi could come on Shabbos. Sorry, Mashiach could come on Shabbos, and we're talking about Eliyahu Novi, and we're just going to see the difference in a minute. But before I'm going anyway. There's a little bit needs to be understood. How do we know that the Mashiach is going to come? Where does it come from? The Mashiach is going to come from far away, and it's going to evolve, going more than the Tchum, and it's going to be higher than 10 Tvachim. There's a lot of assumptions here. That maybe he's coming below 10 Tvachim. That's why. So you see, the Gemara assumes he's coming from higher than 10 Tvachim, and depends on the machlekes of in the question of the Gemara b'chol. It depends on whether there is a Tchum or there isn't a Tchum. So he wants to use it as a proof that there is Tchum l'mayim Masara. Maybe Mashiach is going to come from below 10 Tvachim, and so therefore there is Tchum, and therefore he can't come on Shabbos. I don't know an answer to this. I'm thinking maybe that the Gemara over here was of the opinion. We know that he opinion over here that is going to come by Shmai. Okay, we have other Gemaras. That it could be this. We know. So maybe the Gemara here, the opinion of the Gemara here was that it's going to come Nana Shmaya. No, it's coming from the clouds. So the clouds is probably more than Tchum Shabbos. So that's the thing. That's what I'm thinking. Anyway, but it doesn't really negate to the whole discussion of the Gemara so much. The kids, let's go back. So the Gemara sort of said. So the Gemara wants to prove from here that there is Tchum in L'mayla Me'asara, and therefore it's not possible for Mashiach to come on Shabbos. The Gemara says no. There's a different reason why it can't come on Shabbos. So the Gemara says, Shiny Hosso. The story with Eliyahu Novi is different. Why can't come Shabbos? The Omer Kroy. It says in the pasuk, Eliyahu Novi lifnei yom so Eliyahu is going to come first. So since the holy also Eliyahu me'asmai, and since Eliyahu hasn't come on Friday, so since he hasn't come on Friday, so when he's not going to shank the Shabbos. So the fact that Eliyahu hasn't come on Friday, so we know Shabbos he's not going to be here. So the Gemara says, what kind of logic is this? If you say that the reason why he's not going to come on Shabbos because since Eliyahu didn't come on Friday, so then every day the neder should not be a neder, because always any day which that Eliyahu and Novi hasn't come the day before. No, so as long as Eliyahu has not come, once Eliyahu has come, then you should worry about the neder being come. But as long as Eliyahu and Novi has not come, so throughout the whole week, should mutter the whole week. Unless you get unless you see that Eliyahu is coming, yes, you should still be mutter the whole week. Ella. So how come Taka? So how come Taka there is this halacha that you're not allowed to you're not allowed to drink wine the whole week? You didn't come yesterday, so it must be that the reasoning behind that is because how do you know that Eliyahu didn't come yesterday? How do you know? Maybe they did come yesterday. Elo, Amrinon, the best nagodl odos. So it must be. We're proving the fact that we don't check whether Eliyahu came yesterday to say whether you're also into drinking wine, because maybe you're not. So you can't verify the fact that you can't verify that. So that Eliyahu came yesterday, or didn't come, maybe didn't come. In fact, you can't verify. It must be that Eliyahu will come to a place where not necessarily know about it. And I'm bringing the best nagodl dos. because maybe he came to the Beis Din Gadol, he came to the Sanhedrin, and therefore he did come yesterday. I don't know about it. Sitting in London, I don't know about it. I'm sitting in Sfas, I don't know about it. He went to the Beis Din Gadol, to Sanhedrin. That's where he arrived. So maybe Eliyahu did arrive. If that's the case, so then Shabbos is the same story. Zochinami, when it comes to Shabbos, it should also be to drink wine, because maybe Eliyahu did come on Friday. How do you know that Eliyahu did come on Friday? Leimel Beis Din Gadol also. Yeah, he's there already, and therefore Mashiach can come on Shabbos. So the Gemara answers Kfar moved that. In other words, that the pshat of the teretz. I think the Gemara is basically saying the original intention of the teretz. It's not like a question and answer. It's a question. I mean, so the person who originally gave the answer obviously did not intend to give such a type of answer. The intention of his was that for sure Eliyahu didn't come yesterday. That's why Shabbos. Why do you know for sure? You know for sure that Eliyahu did not come on Erev Shabbos. Why? Because and this is the pshat in the original teretz. So we are re-explaining the original teretz. So it says, "Kvar muftach lehem liyisrael she'ein Eliyahu ba lo ba'av Shabbos lo b'yom tiv b'pnei haTorah." Okay. So it has been a promise to the Yidden that Eliyahu will not come Erev Shabbos Erev Yom Tov because it's going to disturb the preparation. Imagine Eliyahu comes a whole big balagan. It's going to disturb the preparations of Shabbos and Yom Tov. So therefore, he's not going to come on a Friday or Erev Yom Tov. So therefore, Friday and Erev Yom Tov. Friday and Erev Yom Tov is not going to come. So therefore, that means Mashiach can never come on a Shabbos. Mashiach can't come on Shabbos because Eliyahu didn't come on a Friday. It is interesting to me over here. It seems, I'm just looking at this Gemara. It seems as if Eliyahu comes maybe on that day. We don't know, maybe because he came to Beis Din Gadol, but after that we will all know. Because after that we will all know, because if Eliyahu, this Shabbos, maybe Eliyahu. Okay, let's just delete that. Let's continue the Gemara. Okay. The kids are kasakadaita with thought. So the Gemara thought. So Eliyahu is not coming. Eliyahu is not coming on Friday. Why? Because not to make a balagan with the preparations for Shabbos. So now the Gemara is going to ask a question. What's the question based on? If Eliyahu is going to come on Friday because it's going to make a balagan for Shabbos, so for sure that Mashiach won't come on Friday, because if Mashiach will come, it will be Bein Aroich, the balagan. So therefore, that means Mashiach can't come on a Friday, so he should be able to drink on a Friday. If Eliyahu can't come on a Friday, so for sure Mashiach can't come on Friday, it will disturb the Achonas to Shabbos Yom. So therefore, we should be able to drink wine. But then this person who made the neder should be able to drink wine even on a Friday. So the inside says the Gemara, also since we thought that since Eliyahu won't come, Mashiach also will come b'malish. So also won't come. So b'malish Shabbat lishteri. So Erev Shabbos should also be permitted to drink wine because he's not going to come Erev Shabbos, not to disturb us in our preparations for Shabbos. The Gemara answers no. That Eliyahu Friday, Eliyahu won't come because it will disturb us the preparation for Shabbos. But Mashiach, Mashiach can't come on Friday. How can he come? It's disturbed for Shabbos. Even though it's Mashiach, So since Mashiach will come, everybody will be, all the goyim will be slaves. So all the goyim will be slaves. So he'll have his Shabbos prepared in no time. Therefore, it's not going to disturb, and so therefore Mashiach can come on a Friday. So the Gemara asks, let's bring a raya. So before we want to bring a raya that there is tchumen from higher than 10 tefachim. Now we said that the whole thing is dependent on Eliyahu. So if the whole thing is dependent on Eliyahu, not on Mashiach. So if that's the case, Sunday, why is it also to drink wine on Sunday? Because how can Mashiach come on Sunday if Shabbos, Eliyahu Novi can't come? So it must be that Eliyahu Novi can come on Shabbos. That's why we have to drink on Sunday. That's why we can't drink on Sunday. The fact that on Sunday we are choshesh that Mashiach was going to come on a Sunday, so it must be that Eliyahu Novi has no issues on coming on Shabbos. Eliyahu Novi is coming from heaven, is going through a long distance. No, so it must be that there's no tchum in my masor. So therefore, you can come even on a Shabbos. Let's do it inside. Live shibnei ain't tchumin. There should be a raya from this halacha that ain't tchumin. The yesh tchumin. If there is a tchum, there's no tchum higher than 10 tefachim. Din of tchum don't apply. It doesn't apply higher than 10 tefachim. Yesh tchumin. If there is a halacha higher than 10 tefachim, the chad b'shabel is so Sunday should also be allowed to drink the wine because the also Eliyahu b'Shabbos. Since Eliyahu can't come on Shabbos, Melas Mashiach can't come on. Eliyahu can't come Shabbos, so Mashiach can't come on Sunday. So so it comes out that since it's dependent on Eliyahu Novi, it must be that Eliyahu Novi is able to come on Shabbos. It must be that there is no tchumin. And therefore, we cannot, on Sunday, we cannot drink the wine. So the Gemara answer is going to be, not drinking the wine is a chumrah. To paskin, that you're not allowed to drink the wine on Sunday does not mean that you're sure that you're permitted to come, you're permitted to walk past the tchum. Even if you have only a suffix, even if the Tana is only a suffix, if Eliyahu is permitted to come, maybe Eliyahu is not permitted to come. We don't know Eliyahu is permitted to come. Maybe he's not permitted to come. But since it's a suffix, so therefore we have to be machmir, since we don't know whether he can come on Shabbos, we can't come on Shabbos, so therefore on Sunday we can't drink, because maybe he is allowed to come on Shabbos. Therefore, therefore Sunday Mashiach will come. So the kid said there's no raya. We want to get a definite heter from this Tana. We want to get a definite heter to be able to walk on a narrow fence. If it's less than narrower than 4 tefachim, so we can't get a heter because it may be the fact that we're not permitted to drink wine. The person who made that heter is not permitted to drink wine on Sunday is because of a chumrah, because it's a suffix. It's a suffix, so therefore, it is so the Gemara's answer, you can't bring a definitive raya that he says it's permitted for Eliyahu Novi to come on Shabbos. The was high time is looking at is a suffix. Yes, tchum and tchum. If higher than 10 tefachim is a tchum, the dinim of tchum apply there or don't apply there. The chumra, right, and it's going to chum. Okay, so we've not been able to find a heter. It's together a suffix with the yesh tchum l'mayla or ain't tchum. And now the Gemara asks another question: the koya amos, which day? The koya amos, the kanada. When is he been making a nether? Which day of the week is making a nether? If you say that isn't a weekday, so it's a 6-day weekday. So then maybe he became a nazir, right? So So if he makes the, let's say he makes a neder on Sunday, the day Mashiach comes, he'll be a Nazir. Now a Nazir doesn't the Nazir takes once you become a Nazir, you remain a Nazir unless you agree a certain time. So once you become a Nazir, you remain Nazir for 30 days or whatever. Stam Nazir Islam Yom, etc. So you remain Nazir for therefore, if he made on Sunday or Monday or Tuesday, I'm just taking any day of the week. Let's say Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Let's say one of these days he said he's going to be a Nazir when the day Mashiach will come. So therefore, he became he's a Sophic Nazir. He can't drink wine because maybe he's a Nazir on Sunday, because maybe Mashiach is coming on the Sunday. Maybe Mashiach, if he made on Monday, maybe Mashiach is coming on Monday. The Kitzer. So maybe the day that he made the neder, on that day he became a Nazir. And once he becomes a Nazir, so when it comes to Shabbos, he remains a Nazir. Because, for instance, let's see. Okay, when it comes to Shabbos, he knows, let's say he knows Mashiach didn't come on, he knows that Mashiach didn't come on Sunday, let's say. I don't know if you can find out. Let's say he knows. But maybe Mashiach came on Friday. So if he makes let's see, he makes the neder on the weekday. So every day he can't drink wine, because maybe he's a Nazir. When do you definitely know that Mashiach has not come during the weekday? So Friday, maybe Mashiach came on Friday. So maybe Mashiach, now. So if Mashiach came on Friday, now today is Shabbos. I know Mashiach is not coming on Shabbos, but maybe he came Friday. So maybe he doesn't know that Mashiach has come yet. But Mashiach has come. And therefore, since Mashiach comes, he's a Nazir. So therefore, he should not be able to drink on Shabbos as well. I don't know how many days it takes to find out for sure that Mashiach hasn't come. Like how many days behind is the day when you guarantee that Mashiach hasn't come? Like we'll say, he hasn't come 5 years ago. If it comes 5 years ago, for sure, we would know about it. How many days back? But certainly, Mashiach will come on a Friday. So so Shabbos, he doesn't know. Maybe Mashiach is here already. Because Mashiach can also come. It doesn't have to come direct to him. He's not going to come direct to him. Mashiach will also come to the Beis Din HaGadol first. Right. So that's the kasha. The koy emes is if you say in the weekdays, so it's there for the whole weekdays. The Naziris is chal, because any day of the weekday we don't know. Maybe that's the day Mashiach came. So Shabbos is so how is Shabbos all of a sudden we say he knows Mashiach didn't come on Shabbos, but maybe he's there already from before. Elos, it must be that this whole mission is talking about the koi b'Shabbat v'Kanoder, the Yontav v'Kanoder. Made the neder on Shabbos Yontav. If he made the neder on Shabbos Yontav, so that day is Bahu Yom Shorelei. That day is mutter. Any other days also is also. If he makes a neder on Sunday or Monday, so from Sunday is already also, and there's always also. It's not going to, because every day we don't know whether Mashiach will come. But if he made the neder on Shabbos, so today it didn't come. So therefore, and it could if it came on Friday, he's not a Nazir now, because the Mashiach came before he made the neder. So Mashiach came before the neder, it's not a Nazir. And so only if Mashiach comes on Shabbos, he becomes a Nazir. No, Shabbos Mashiach is not going to come. But then after that, from the ever after, until his matter neder or whatever the limit of his Naziris, he stays a Nazir. They didn't go into, this is going back to Mishnah, they didn't go into the port, and they were worried about going out to the boat, if they can go from the boat to dry land, because they're in the boat, so it's outside the Tchum, so they traveled more than the distance of the Tchum, and therefore they can't go into dry land. So as the kid said, so Gamliel said he had a look, and he saw that they were in the Tchum he saw that they were in the Tchum before night came. He checked, and they were already in the Tchum of the city. So how did he check? So Tana we learned Shferes he had a calibrated pipe tube, which was a certain size, which gave him which worked in this. He knew exactly how it worked. Show you mabit with sefer ba'al payim. That this is Rashi's Pirush that he was the tube. When a person looks through a tube, then he is not able to see so far because when you look through a tube, you're not able to see so far as if you remove the tube. Now, the longer the tube is, the shorter is the distance that you can see. The narrower the tube, it's true. It depends on obviously it depends on the width of the narrowest tube. But besides depending on the width of the narrowness of the tube, it also depends on the length of the tube. So therefore, you're able to calibrate a tube that allows you to see 2,000 amas, and more than that you can't see. So therefore, instead of going and measuring, you can, by looking at an area, as you can see it, that means it's within the 2,000 amas. If you can't see it, so this is not a telescope, but he had this instrument which he used, this tube, which indicated to him what's the limit of 2,000 amas. This is Rashi's Pirush. Rabbi Hagon has some other Pirush, a different type of tool, which you look at it based on I don't know, some bit of geometry, and therefore that can also you can measure distance with looking at that instrument. Anyway, whatever it was, he had this instrument.
It's called sextant.
Okay, thank you. So connect the the kid says so he's able to tell the distance of 2,000 amas. Therefore, how you if you want to know how deep the valley is, maybe Shoferes, you bring this tube, and you look, then you know how the depth of the valley is. Right, because if you still see the bottom of the valley, you know you're within 2,000. The moment you can't see it, you know you've crossed the 2,000 threshold. Okay, then dekel. So here's an interesting thing. If you want to know how to measure a palm tree, which is not very safe to go up there and to try and not everybody is so inclined to go measure it from the top and throw down the tape measure or something, because it's quite scary to be on the top. So made Kimosei with Siloi, so he measures his own height and the shade. The person should measure his height and the shade, and so therefore at this given moment in time, therefore he'll know that either the ratio between his height and the shade, and Made Kimosei with Siloi with Made Kimosei V'tziloi, he measures his own height, his personal height, and the shade. So he knows the ratio of the height to the shade at this given moment in time, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, whatever it is, whatever time you're doing it. And then then you go and measure the shade of the palm tree, and then you know what's the ratio of the shade to the because you know already from measuring yourself, you know the ratio, so therefore you'll now know from the shade you'll be able to tell the ratio how high the palm tree is. Right. Somebody wants so the way they made the kever with the matzeves and everything, they would have some sort of matzeva or whatever it is, and then they would have a omud there to show that it's a cave over there. Then they would have lots of stones around it. And the kids that provides shade. So it provides shade. So what happens is that it's a shady place. So it's a deserted place. So animals will come there. Once anyone comes there, there's a worry that the animals will sort of smell the meat and they'll try and go for the body. So you don't want any animals to come there, and you can't put CC cameras. You can't do that. So what do? No, so you make the pile in such a way that there should not be shade at 10 o'clock, at 9 o'clock in the morning. The other choice is 10 o'clock, between 9 and 10 somewhere. Yeah. So, so let's say 10 o'clock. So no, it's kind of a dollar choice. So he puts the stick on at 10 o'clock in the morning. 10 o'clock in the morning, he puts the stick, the omod there, the corner, and you see how the shade works. The kitzer, so then when you make this, when you put the stones there, so you're making it such a way that 10 o'clock in the morning, there should not be any shade. So the sun should be hitting the entire place and it should not provide shade. So once it doesn't provide shade at 10 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning is the time that it comes to get hot, and that is the time that animals are looking for a shady place, and therefore they will come to a place where there's shade. If at 10 o'clock in the morning there is this place, the way you slanted the stones, it should not provide shade, does not provide shade. So if it does not provide shade, so then the animals will, wanting to find a shady place, will go somewhere else, and therefore once they're somewhere else, they're not going to come there. Even though later, of course, during different hours of the day, it will provide shade. But once the animals are somewhere else, they stay there where they've chosen their place. Okay. Nehemiah Berei, the son of Reb Chaniloi, Moshchus Shmeitzer, he was into learning, he was talking and learning, thinking and learning, whatever it is, but not for Chused Tchum. By mistake, he went outside the Tchum. So he got stuck outside the Tchum. He realized he's outside the Tchum. But he was in the middle of learning, and he didn't realize he was walking out, and he walked outside the Tchum. The kids and he was stuck. Amr later of Chizler of Nachman, so Chizler says to Rav Nachman, I guess it wasn't too far. So he said, Nehemiah Talmid Chashori Betzar. Your Talmid Nehemiah has a problem. He's stuck there and can't move. Amr said to him, Asela Mechitza Shel Bnei Adam. Make him a fence of people. People should stand around him. Therefore, it will have a fenced area. The ikones, and he'll be able to go in. Because once the fenced area, so the fenced area is considered like Arba Amas. So the fenced area is considered like Arba Amas. So therefore, he'll be able to walk through the whole area. And then, if obviously the mechitza will be so that it includes the tchum. That means that once he walks the whole area, he'll enter the tchum. Once he enters the tchum with permission, so then he can walk anywhere. Like we had before in the Gemara, that if somebody, if you go back to the tchum, you only have da'adamas if you walk back in. You're not allowed to. If you walk back into the tchum with a heter, if you walk back with the heter, so then you are allowed to walk the whole. Then you have to you have your back to your original standing. But the issue over here is so if it's permitted to walk in, once it's permitted to walk into tchum, then there's no issue. Then he can walk with permission. Then he's back to he can go back home and do everything. He can walk all over. But the issue over here is this mechitza, which he wasn't there before Shabbos, is this mechitza a good mechitza? It wasn't there before Shabbos. So is that good enough? And that seems to depends on the machlokes which we had between Rabbi Gamliel in the earlier. That we said if somebody he was in the Mishnah we had this. If somebody was in a fenced-off area outside the tchum, so in that fenced-off area outside the tchum, so Rabbi Lezer, Ben Azariah, and Rabbi Yeshua Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Kiva say you can only walk Dal Adamas, and Rabbi Lezer, Ben Azariah, Rabbi Gamliel say that you can walk the entire distance. So this is dependent on the machlokes between Rabbi Gamliel and Rabbi Shua and Rabbi Kiva. Yeah. So according to Rabbi Gamliel, even though you weren't there Shabbos, but you weren't there at the beginning of Shabbos, you weren't there B'Shas Ben Hashmoshes, but now you're in a fenced area, you can walk the whole fenced area, and obviously not if you became the ba'onis, etc. Not like he was unaware over here, not that he intentionally went there. If you intentionally go there, it doesn't work. But if you ended up ba'onis, that's according to Gamaliel, you can walk the whole area, and according to Rabbi Shua and Rabbi Kiva, you can't walk down the house. So this eitzah was only going to be effective if we hold the Rabbi Gamaliel's din. Okay. Oh, did I say the eitzah? I didn't say the eitzah. I remember I said it. Because so he said that I said a mechitza b'nei adam yikonis. Let him do a mechitza of people and kohen. So that's based on Rabbi Gamaliel's shit. Yosef Rav Nachman, the Bar Yitzchak Acher the Rabbi. So Rav Nachman was sitting behind Rabbi. This is Rav Chizda told Rav Nachman, and there is also Rav Nachman present. Is also Rav Nachman the Yitzchak, and they're sitting behind Rabbi. Yosef Rabbi came to Rav Nachman, and Rabbi was sitting in front of Rav Nachman, but Yitzchak is there as well. Amalei Rav Nachman Yitzchak said, Rav Nachman Yitzchak speaks up, but Rabbi, what's his problem? Why is Rav Chizda not so sure? Pascal like Rav Gamliel. So why does not want to Pascal Rav Gamliel? What was the issue? What was the issue that he didn't want to paskin Rabbi Gamliel? Maybe he's not sure that halach is like Rabbi Gamliel. So I think maybe we'll stop over here because we've got quite a bit of time. So we'll stop over here. So the question is, what was the problem with Chizda? We're not going to give it eitzah according to Rabbi Gamliel. What was the problem with Chizda that he didn't sort of right away? He has to ask Rav Nachman. He didn't himself ask him like me. What was exactly the problem? And the details we'll do.